Hello, welcome to Torah portion for the week. We'll be reading the Vayechi portion, which will have Genesis. We'll be reading from Genesis 47, verse 28, picking up from last week, all the way through 50:26. From the prophet side of things, we'll be reading 1 Kings chapter 2, verses 1 through 12. New Testament side, we'll be reading two readings, John 13, 1 through 19, and Revelations 7, 1 through 8. We'll be in the Scriptures, 2009 version. Genesis 47, verse 28, page 53. And Jacob lived in the land of Mizraim 17 years. So the length of Jacob's life was 147 years. And the time of Israel, and the time for Israel to die drew near Jacob. And he called his son Joseph and said to him, Now, if I have found favor in your eyes, please put your hand under my thigh and show loving commitment and trust to me. Please do not bury me in Mizraim, but I shall lie with my fathers, and you shall take me up out of Mizraim and bury me in their burial place. And he said, and Joseph said, I do as you have said. And as he said, swear to me. And he swore to him, and Israel bowed himself to the head of the bed. Chapter 48. And after these events it came to be that it was said to Joseph, See, your father is sick. And he took him with him his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And Jacob was told, See, your son Joseph is coming to you. And Israel strengthened himself and sat up in bed. And Israel, said to Joseph, El Shaddai appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan and blessed me. And said to me, See, I am making you fruitful, and shall increase you, and make you an assembly of peoples, and give this land to your seed after you as an everlasting possession. And now your two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, who were born to you in the land of Mizraim before I came to you in Mizraim, are mine. And Reuben and Simon, they are mine, or Shimon. Your offspring whom you shall bring forth after them are yours, and let them be called by the name of their brothers in their inheritance. And I, when I came to Rahel, died beside me. When I came to Padam, Rachel died beside me in the land of Canaan on the way, when there was but a little distance to go to Ephrath. And I buried her there on the way to Ephrath, that is in Bethlehem. And Israel saw Joseph's sons and said, Who are these? And Joseph said to his father, They are my sons, whom Elohim has given to me in this place. And he said, Please bring them to me, and let me bless them. And the eyes of Israel, Jacob, were dead. Israel/Jacob were dim with age, and he was unable to see. And he drew near to them, and kissed them, and embraced them. And Israel said to Joseph, I had not thought to see your face, but see, Elohim has also shown me your seed. So Joseph brought them from between his knees, and he bowed down to his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim with his right hand toward Israel's left hand, and Manasseh with his left hand toward Israel's right hand, and brought them near. And Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it on Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand on Manasseh's head, conscientiously directing his hand, for Manasseh was the firstborn. And as he blessed Joseph and said, the Elohim before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac walked, the Elohim who has fed me all my life, long to this day, the messenger who has redeemed me from all evil, bless the youth, and let my name be called upon them, and the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and let them increase to a multitude in the midst of the earth. And when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand on the head of Ephraim, it was evil in his eyes, and he took hold of his father's hand to remove it from the head of Ephraim to the head of Manasseh. And Joseph said to his father, not so, my father, for this one is the firstborn. Put your right hand on his head. But his father refused and said, I know, my son. He also becomes a people, and he is also great. And yet his younger brother is greater than he, and his seed is to become the completeness of the nations. And he blessed them on that day, saying, you in Israel shall bless, saying, Elohim make you as Ephraim and as Manasseh. Thus he put Ephraim before Manasseh. And Israel said to Joseph, see, I am dying, but Elohim shall be with you, and bring you back to the land of your fathers. And I have given you one portion above your brothers, which I took from the hand of the Amorite with my sword and with my bow. Chapter 49. And Jacob called his sons and said, to gather together, so that I declare to you all that befall you in the last days. Gather together and hear, you sons of Jacob, and listen to Israel your father. Reuben, you are my firstborn, my power and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of exaltation, and the excellency of power. Boiling like water, you do not excel, because you went up to your father's bed, then you defiled it. He went up into my couch. Shimon and Levi are brothers. Their weapons are implements of violence. Let my being not enter their council. Let my esteem not be united to their assembly, because they killed a man in their displeasure, and they lamed an ox in pleasure. Cursed be their displeasure, for it is fierce, and their wrath, for it is cruel. I divide them in Jacob, and scatter them in Israel. You, Judah, your brothers praise you. Your hand is on the neck of your enemies. Your father's children bow down before you. Judah is a lion's cub. From the prey you have gone up, my son. He bowed down, he crouched like a lion, and like a lion who does rouse him. The scepter shall not turn aside from Judah, nor as an inscriber from between his feet, until Shiloh comes, and to him is the obedience of peoples. Binding his donkeys to the vine, and his donkey's colt to the choice vine, he washed his garments in wine, and his robes in the blood of grapes. His eyes are darker than wine, and his teeth whiter than milk. Zebulun dwells in the seashore. He is for a haven of ships, and his border is unto Zion, Sidon. Yishkar is a strong donkey, lying down between two burdens. And he saw that a resting place was good, and the land was pleasant. And he inclined his shoulder to bear a burden, and became a subject to slave labor. Dan rightly rules his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan is a serpent by the way, an adder by the path, that bites the horse's heels so that its rider falls backwards. I have waited for your deliverance, O Yahweh. God, Gad, Gad. A riding band raids him, but he raids its heel. Bread from Asher is rich, and he gives delicacies of a sovereign. Naphtali is a deer let loose. He gives words of elegance. Joseph is an offshoot, a fruit-bearing tree, an offshoot of a fruit-bearing tree by a fountain. His branches run over a wall, and the archers have bitterly grieved him, shot at him and hated him. But his bow remains in strength, and his arms of his hands were made strong by the hands of a mighty one of Jacob. From there is the shepherd, the stone of Israel. From the El of your father who helps you, and by the Almighty who blesses you with blessings of the heavens from above, blessings of the deep that lies beneath, blessings of the breast and of the womb. The blessings of your father have excelled the blessings of my ancestors up to the limit of the everlasting hills. They are the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of him who was separated from his brothers. Benjamin is a wolf that tears in the morning. He eats prey, and at night he divides his spoil. All these are the 12 tribes of Israel. And this is what their father spoke to them. And he blessed them. He blessed each one according to his own blessing. And he commanded them and said to them, I am to be gathered to my people. Bury me with my fathers in a cave that is in the field of Ephron and the Hittite, in the cave that is in the field of Mechlepha, which is before Maharab in the land of Canaan, which Abraham bought with the field of Ephron the Hittite as a possession for a burial site. There they buried Abraham and Sarah, his wife. There they buried Isaac and Rachel, his wife, and Rebekah, his wife. And there I buried Leah. The field purchased and the cave which is in it from the sons of Heth. And when Jacob ended commanding his sons, he drew his feet up to the bed, breathed his last, and was gathered to his people. Genesis 50. And Joseph fell on his father's face and wept over him and kissed him. And Joseph commanded his servants, the physicians, to embalm his father. So that the physicians embalmed Israel. And 40 days were completed for him, for so are completed the days of embalmment. And the Mizrahites wept for 70 days. And when the days of weeping for him were past, Joseph spoke to the household of Pharaoh, saying, If now I have found favor in your eyes, please speak in the hearing of Pharaoh, saying, My father made me swear, saying, Seeing I am dying, bury me in my burial site which I dug for myself in the land of Canaan. And now please let me go up and bury my father and return. And Pharaoh said, Go up, bury your father, as he had made you swear. And Joseph went up to bury his father, and with him went all the servants of Pharaoh, the elders of his house, and all the elders of the land of Mizraim. And all the house of Joseph, and his brothers, and his father's house. Only their little ones, their flocks, and their herds they left in the land of Goshen. And there they went up with him, both chariots and horsemen, and it was a very great company. And they came to the threshing floor of Atad, which is beyond the yard, and they lamented there with a great and very heavy lamentation. And he performed 7 days of mourning for his father. And when the inhabitants of the land of the Canaanites saw the mourning at the threshing floor of Atad, they said, "This is a grievous mourning for the Mizrites." This is why its name was called Abel Mizraim, which is beyond the Jordan. And his sons did to him as he had commanded. And his sons brought him to the land of Canaan, and buried him in the cave of Canaan, and buried him in the cave, the field of Mecheleh, before Maharam, which Abraham bought with the field from Ephron the Hittite as property for a burial site. And after he had buried his father, Joseph returned to Mizraim, he and his brothers, and all who went up with him to bury his father. And when Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, "What if Joseph hates us and pays us back all the evil which we did to him?" And they sent word to Joseph, saying, "Before your father died, he commanded, saying, 'This is what you are to say to Joseph. I beg you, please forgive the transgression of your brothers and their sin, for they did evil to you. Now please forgive the transgression of the servants of Elohim of your father." And Joseph wept that when they spoke to him. And his brothers also went and fell down before his face. And they said, "See, we are your servants." And Joseph said to them, "Do not fear, for I am the place of Elohim. And you intended evil against me, but Elohim intended it for good, in order to do it as is this day, to keep a great many people alive." He mentioned that a couple of chapters ago when they first came, when he revealed himself. And you intended to do evil against me, but Elohim intended it for good, in order to do it what it is this day, to keep a great many people alive. And now, do not fear. I provide for you and your little ones. So he comforted them and spoke kindly to them. And Joseph dwelt in Mizraim, he and his father's household, and Joseph lived 110 years. And Joseph saw Ephraim's children to the third generation, the children of Machir, son of Manasseh, was also born on Joseph's knees. And Joseph said to his brothers, "I am dying, but Elohim shall certainly visit you and bring you out of this land, to the land of which he swore to Abraham and Isaac and to Jacob." And Joseph made the children of Israel swear, saying, "Elohim shall certainly visit you, and you shall bring my bones from there." And Joseph died, being 110 years old, and they embalmed him, and he was placed in a coffin in Mizraim. The end of Genesis. We're beginning Exodus next week. Okay, on to the prophets. Will be in 1 Kings. Chapter 2, we'll be reading 1 through 12. It's on page 348. And the days of David drew near to die, as he commanded Solomon his son, saying, "I am going the way of all the earth, and you shall be strong and be a man, and guard the charge," capitalized, "of Yahweh, your Elohim, to walk in his ways, to guard his laws, his commands, his right rulings, and his witnesses, as it is written in the Torah of Moshe, so that you do wisely all that you do, wherever you turn, so that Yahweh does establish his word, which he spoke concerning me, saying, if your sons guard their way, to walk before me in truth, with all their heart and with all their being, saying, there is not a cease a man among there is not a cease a man of yours on the throne of Israel. And also you know that Joab son of Surah did to me what Joab son of Surah did to me, and what he did to the two commanders of the armies of Israel, to Abner, son of Nahor, and Amash, son of Jether, that he killed them, and shed blood on the battle in peace, and put the blood of battle on his belt that was around his waist, and on his sandals that were his feet. So act according to your wisdom, and do not let his gray hair go down to Sheol in peace, but show loving commitment to the sons of Bazareli the Gilead, and let them be among those who eat at your table. For so they came to be when I fled from Absalom your brother. And see, with you is Shimon, son of Geher, the Benjamite from Bararim, who cursed me with grievous cursing in the day when I went to Menahem. But he came down to meet me at the Jordan, and I swore to him by Yahweh, saying, I shall not put you to death with the sword. And now do not leave him unpunished, for you are a wise man, and know that what you should do to him, and shall bring his gray hair down to Sheol with blood. And David slept with his fathers, and was buried in the city of David. And the days that David reigned over Israel were 40 years. He reigned 7 years in Hebron, and in Israel he reigned 33 years. And Solomon sat on the throne of his father David, and his reign was firmly established. The end of Kings, end of the prophets there. We'll be on to New Testament. We'll be reading John 13, 1 through 19 verses. Found on page 1040. And before the festival of Pesach, Yeshua, knowing that his hour had come, that he should move out of this world unto his Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. And supper taking place, the devil having already put it into the heart of Judah, of Isaac, son of Shimon, to deliver him up. Yeshua, knowing that the Father had given all into his hands, and that he had come from Elohim, and was going to Elohim, rose from supper, and laid aside his garments, and having taken a towel, he girded himself. And after he put water into a basin, and began to wash the feet of the taught ones, and to wipe them with the towel with which he had girded. And he said to Simon Peter, or Shimon Kebab, and said to him, Master, do you wash my feet? And Yeshua answered and said to him, You do not know what I am doing now, but you shall know after this. And Simon Peter said to him, By no means shall you wash my feet ever. Yeshua answered him and says, If I do not wash your feet, you have no part of me. Simon Peter said to him, Master, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. Yeshua said to him, Who has had a bath does not need to be washed, except his feet, but it is clean altogether. You are clean, but not all of you. For he knew who would deliver him up. So he said, You are all not clean. And so he washed their feet, taken his garments, and sat down again, and said to them, Do you know what I have done to you? You called me teacher and master, and you say, Well, for I am. Then if I, Master and teacher, have washed your feet. You also ought to wash one another's feet. For I gave you an example that you should do as I have done to you. Truly, truly, I say to you, a servant is not greater than his master, nor an emissary greater than he who has sent him. If you know these teaching, blessed are you if you do them. I do not speak concerning all of you. I know whom I have chosen, but that the scripture might be filled. He who eats bread with me has lifted up his heel against me. Psalms 41:9. And now I say to you, before it takes place, that when it does take place, you shall believe that I am. Okay. End of John. We'll be in reading Revelations 7:1-8. Page 1204. And after this I saw 4 messengers, John speaking, standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another messenger coming up from the rising of the sun, holding the seal of the living Elohim. And he cried out with a loud voice to the 4 messengers to whom it was given to harm the earth and the sea, saying, do not harm the earth, nor the sea, nor the trees, until we have sealed the servants of our Elohim upon their foreheads. And I heard the number of those who were sealed, 140,000 sealed out of all the tribes of the children of Israel. Of the tribe of Judah, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Reuben, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Gad, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Asher, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Naphtali, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Manasseh, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Shimon, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Levi, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Issachar, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Zebulun, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Joseph, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Benjamin, 12,000 were sealed. Shalom. Make it a great day. Read your Bible. Talk to the Father.